how's your peace? Does your peace come and go with when things are doing well in your life? When expectations you have are being met? Or does your peace get robbed, when things just don't go well? There's a promise that the peace God gives you it's beyond your understanding. It surpasses your understanding. And most of my life, I tried to attain that peace by just having good days, working hard, organizing things, managing my expectations. It just got worse and worse, So today I want to talk to you about my 3 best tips for getting into peace and staying there. And this is a peace that far surpasses your understanding. It doesn't matter what's happening to you. It doesn't matter what's happening around you. This peace is yours and mine to keep forever, and it is powerful. It's a divine weapon that absolutely destroys strongholds. All right, tip number 1. Super simple. Pause what you're doing and talk to God. Do this every day, throughout your day. Just pause and talk. The other day I came upstairs to talk to my wife, Nora, and I had something I really wanted to tell her. And she had just gotten home and she had something she really wanted to tell me. Meanwhile, our daughter spills something from the counter all over the floor behind Nora. And I was so intent on telling Nora that I chose to ignore what was happening behind her. Now, she was not able to do the same thing. She wanted to stop, clean up the stuff that fell on the ground, and it started an argument between us. There was clearly tension building. I was getting frustrated. She was getting frustrated. And before things got worse, I just stopped and I walked. I quieted myself because I was talking a lot. When I get angry, sometimes I talk too much. So I went and I walked away. And in my heart, I just started talking to God. I said, Lord, I feel angry right now. What's going on? Speak to me. So I paused what I was doing and then I started talking to God. And I didn't have a solution in that moment, other than I stopped what I was saying and I started talking to God instead. And it's almost like diffusing a bomb. When you talk to God, the stuff in your heart that's trying to, it's like a fuse, right? Is lighting. A fuse has been lit and it's going down to the part where it's going to blow up. When it blows up, things get bad. They get ugly. People get hurt. So the fuse was going. I talked to God, and then He turned the fuse off. After a few minutes, I could talk to Nora again without feeling so angry, and I could let go of my self-righteousness that was telling me, "You're right. She's wrong." Demand that, and it was great, because it gave her space to let go of her frustration with me and how that was being handled. And we moved on, and it was good. So throughout the day, I want to encourage you, just pause and talk to God. God is invisible. God is with you at all times, everywhere. God lives in you if you have received them, right? So make this a habit throughout your day, especially in the morning, especially at key moments in your day when there's pressure, or when there's going to be pressure. Just pause and talk and say, hey, God, are you there? What are you thinking right now? What do you want to tell me? I find that usually when I talk to God, there are unexpected good things that I hear very soon after I pause and start to listen. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 1 is kind of like your divine family check-in, right? Holy Spirit, Jesus, Father, they're like your divine family. Tip number 2 is let go and look up. And you let go by turning off this channel in your head. A lot of times we tune into a bad news channel every day. There's just bad news going on the earth. There's a frequency on the earth of bad news all the time. And we have learned to tune into that growing up in this world, in this place. It's just part of being human. We need to learn to turn that off and change the station in our mind, change the station in our head. If we don't, we're going to be meditating on bad stuff all day long, and it's gonna create anxiety. It's gonna create unrealistic fears. It's going to create all these different negative emotions that come out of meditating on super negative things. So this let go and look up method comes from Colossians 3:2. And, it's, for example, something that I've been struggling to not think about recently is finances. We recently lost a big amount of income that we were used to and relying on. That was a blessing. And if I wasn't paying attention to how my mind was tuned, I would just think like, wow, we don't have that money anymore. Wow, what are we going to do? Wow, budget. And I would start to feel, as I would think these thoughts over and over throughout the day when I'm just doing my work, right? Or when I wake up in the morning, I could feel the anxiety build in the pit of my stomach. And it wasn't good, These emotions we feel, those are like lights that come on in your car, warning lights, or in your aircraft. Like these lights tell you something's wrong and you need to do something with them. So when you feel anxiety, when I felt that anxiety, I was like, okay, it's time to talk to God, right? It's time to talk to Dad, to Jesus, to Holy Spirit, and work on this because I need to let it go. It's driving me to anxiety. When the feeling becomes strong enough and I become aware enough that I'm feeling this stuff, it takes practice, okay? So don't be frustrated if you're not aware of your feelings much at first, but start tuning in. When you become aware of this feeling, that's this pressure, this anxiety, you want to immediately do something about it with God. You want to start letting it go. You want to treat it as an important issue, a warning light that will lead you to grave danger if you don't pay attention. So for me, I love to talk it out. I just start, some of us are verbal processors. I find it extremely helpful to verbally process. Even if you're a quiet person, you can still verbally process with God. It's so refreshing to be able to do that because God always listens. God won't interrupt you like other people will. Usually. So I start talking to God. I say, Lord, I'm thinking about these thoughts. They're creating anxiety in me. And I'm feeling like I don't have enough. And so I just start, I'm not looking for a solution yet. I'm just starting to let go. I'm sorry. 1 Peter says, cast your cares on the Lord because he cares for you. It's one of the coolest verses, one of the most practical, helpful verses I've found in the Bible. Cast your cares on the Lord. The word is anxieties. Cast your anxieties on the Lord because he cares for you. Jesus says, what are you going to gain in a day by worrying about anything? Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. Just today has enough troubles, right? So give these troubles today to him. And it's amazing. This section in 1 Peter that talks about casting your cares on the Lord says, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. This is taking true responsibility in God's kingdom. In the world, they say, you need to care, right? You need to care about this, or care about that, or care about this person. And what they really mean is you need to be anxious. You need to be hyper-focused in a way that brings anxiety. And that is the opposite of taking responsibility in the kingdom. In God's kingdom, in this kingdom we're a part of now, taking responsibility is giving your anxieties to Jesus to carry for you. This is some of the best news. Even as you're hearing this, just realize and feel the weight lifting off your shoulders. Okay, so the first part of tip 2 is let go. Now the second part is look up, right? It's a metaphor, but look up in the heavenly places. Look up to where Jesus is seated at the right hand of God. That's Colossians 3 again. Look up at what is good in your life. Look up at what is good around you. This takes discipline. You got to practice this. You got to practice looking up because we're constantly drawn down to look down at the negative like a magnet, So break off that magnet and look up. And for me, I just started thanking God for things that I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for my wife, Nora. She's amazing, I'm grateful for the way she thinks about me, the way she cares for me, what she does, she's a gift. I am grateful for each one of my children, Shayla, my oldest, Shiloh, my only son, Shalom, my peacemaker, Chanel, my fighter, Shania, my joy one, I'm so grateful. you start going through and actually thinking about things that you're grateful for, you will find so many more than you realize you had. So let go of the challenge you're looking at, or the thing that is stewing and building up anxiety in you, and then start to look up, Using your imagination for this part is amazing. So use your imagination. I love to imagine now God with me, When I'm sitting here in this office, I imagine the Father sitting next to me, Holy Spirit sitting next to me, Jesus sitting next to me. I talk to them. Maybe you think that's weird, but it's not. It's like totally super normal in the kingdom, in heaven. It'll change your life. When I drive to work in my car, when I drive home in my car. For right now, for me, it's a little easier in the morning because I've practiced that. Less so in the afternoon after the cares of the world have been heaped on my shoulders, and I've allowed that. I'm working on that. But they're sitting in the seats next to me, according to my imagination, right? And God meets me and will, I guarantee you, meet you in your imagination as you use it. It's a divine gift to learn to interact with an invisible God, and it is incredible. I'm telling you. When you meet God with the eyes of your heart, your imagination, when you ask them questions, the responses you get will blow your mind. They always say new things. It's like you can't predict it. You're just like, the trick is learning how to focus in and actually listen beyond the distractions. And it just takes practice. Don't be discouraged. Just practice little by little, and you'll get better and better, and it'll change your life for so much better. Tip number 3. This one's the hardest. I'm not gonna lie. It's the hardest, and I did a whole message about it the previous video. So if you want more on this one, go back and listen. And I think you'll find it helpful. But the third tip to getting into that place of peace and lasting, walking in lasting peace is forgiveness. Now, this is forgiveness for yourself, so receiving forgiveness, and it's also forgiveness towards others. That you have something that requires that you would need to forgive them, right? Something's happened to you. So this is a deep-hearted one. This goes even deeper, because this goes and touches the bruises in your soul, the hurts and the pains you've experienced from the past. And some of these have been long, and some of them are festering, and some of them are rotten, and they're killing you, and they need to be addressed. For me, I'll start kind of with a light one. I've had many deep challenges to forgive, just like many of us have. But I'll start with the light one because the principles are the same. I have been challenged in my life with misplacing small things. And for all you guys out there, I don't know if you can relate to having a hard time finding things. One of these days, we'll go over that. What is the deal with us not being able to find things hidden in plain sight? I don't know. But for me, my wallet, my ID card, and my keys have been just items that have often eluded me. And one day I was driving to work, and it's important I have my ID card because I cannot work. I can't get on to my workplace. I can't log in to my computer unless I have my ID card. And this one day, I actually had an important meeting, and there was a big thing going on, and I was a part of it, and people were depending on me. And I got to the entrance, and I did not have my ID card, and I was 30 minutes from my house when I realized this. So in that moment, I became furious with myself. My inner critic is very focused on me. Some of you have inner critics that are focused on others and their problems. My inner critic focuses on my problems, and I hear it all the time. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have a good enough memory. Yet you should have done this. You should have done that, right? All these things, all these accusations. And I've had a lifetime to practice this, so I'm good at that, And I'm learning to break out of that because it's super unhealthy. That inner critic is not God talking to you. It's not God talking to me. That inner critic about others is not God telling you and giving you divine discernment. It's often our own insecurity, our own self-righteousness, or frankly, a demonic spirit that is trying to sound like you to get you to judge others, because the enemy knows how powerful you and I are to be able to judge, because God has given us that power to judge. And it's something that we need to learn to do with fear and trembling, and we need to learn the goodness of God to judge righteously. So back to the story, my inner critic starts going off on me. Just, how could you be so neglectful? How could you do this on this day of all days? How could you're so blank, blank, blankety, blank, blank, right? I mean, just the worst things you can imagine hearing yourself accuse yourself of, I was hearing. I'm driving home, I'm furious. It takes me more than half of the drive home to calm down, take a deep breath, relax, stop calling myself names. I'm doing the best I can just to not open my mouth, and I'm failing. So this is leading to a lot of turmoil, right? This is not helping me. I honestly wanted to punish myself. I, in that moment, became convinced I needed to be punished. That's an attitude of unbelief, okay? Because there was one who was punished for me. And if I would have remembered him in that moment and believed that he was punished on my behalf, I would have been a lot more gracious on myself. Can you relate? So in moments like this, this is kind of like going back to tip 1. I started talking to God about it after I cooled down a little bit. And I got to the place where I needed to let go, and look up. Tip 2, right? And so I started doing that. I started talking to God. And there's, when you have something you want to forgive yourself for, or you don't forgive yourself, you receive forgiveness. You let God's forgiveness invade your heart. You can write it down on a piece of paper, If I wasn't driving a car, I could have done that. For me, talking it out verbally is just as powerful and more accessible, because I can do it anywhere I am. So I started talking it out, Lord, I feel super mad right now. I explained my feelings to them, and I don't want to carry this anymore. I don't want to accuse myself and judge myself. I remembered, oh yeah, you took the punishment. I don't have to punish myself. I'm actually twisted in my mindset right now. Oh Lord, forgive me, A, for not believing, right? Forgive me for my unbelief. And then B, forgive me for all the judgment I just heaped on myself. I'm your son. You paid for me. You actually love me. You bought me for the highest price, and I trust you, I receive you. And so when I'm carrying guilt or shame or condemnation, like I was that morning, it's a burden, So what I like to do physically is imagine with my emotions and my imagination that I'm carrying a burden that feels like I'm feeling. It feels like anxiety or anger or frustration or judgment on me. And I feel the judgment weighing me down, trying to crush me. And I take it, and I see Jesus sitting next to me often, I just think, Lord, I want to give this to you. Okay, will you take it from me? And I wait to listen, because you want to hear the interaction from him, and he always says yes, but he does it in such a unique way. Each time it's just unique. And tune your ears to hear that. And I just go, ugh, and I give it over to him. Even if I'm driving in my car, I'll do that. And then I'll take a deep breath, and I'll use my imagination to engage with my emotions and Jesus in the Spirit. And then all of a sudden, I'll feel it. I'll feel it lift. I'll feel it go away. I'll feel lighter. It's amazing. There is no limit to your imagination. You can do this an unlimited number of ways that works for you, okay? The point is, you got to get this burden off you. You got to give it to Jesus. You got to surrender it, let it go. It's worth mentioning, if I'm forgiving someone else, I do it different, And again, these ideas are just to spur your imagination and get you going. I imagine that Jesus is behind some huge golden doors in my heart, and when you open the door, there's just a beautiful landscape, and Jesus is ready to walk out and go forgive the person that I'm withholding forgiveness from. And he's waiting on me. Jesus is waiting on me, right? It's no longer I who forgive. It's Christ in me who forgives through me. So as soon as I'm ready to yield the unforgiveness I'm holding on to, the bitterness, the anger, right? Again, if it's somebody else, I'm talking it through. I'm saying, Lord, I don't want to forgive that person because they hurt me, right? They did this and I don't like it. and I want them to get justice, whatever you're feeling. Talk it out with them, talk it out, get it out, let it go. And then when you're ready to let Jesus go forgive through you. Remember, it's Jesus who forgives through you. It's the power of God. It's the authority of God to forgive. The blood of Jesus makes this real and true and accessible and your choice. Then you just I imagine opening the doors to my heart. Sometimes I'll even do that. I'll just do this with my hands. I'll say, Lord, go forgive them. Go get them, Lord. Go get them. You paid that they would be forgiven. And I remind myself, man, Jesus died for that person too. This is hard. It can be really hard depending on how hurt you've been by this person, especially if it's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, somebody really close to you, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend. So, man, but when Jesus goes, use your imagination to see it. See him put his hand on their shoulder, see him talk to them, see how they're looking at him, see how he's looking at them, and you'll start to feel what God feels for that person. Compassion, discernment, love, covering, various things. You'd be surprised at what God feels for the people that you've only felt frustration and anger towards recently. And then just notice how you feel. All of a sudden you'll be like, it's amazing. Peace. It brings you right back to peace. All right, so that's the last tip. So to review, tip number 1, pause and talk. Just start the conversation. Practice this throughout the day. Super easy, super beneficial. Tip number 2, let go of what it is you're holding on to by talking it out, writing it down, throwing it away. And then look up. Look up for what you're grateful for. Look up using your imagination. Imagine Jesus with you. Imagine Father with you. Imagine Holy Spirit with you. And start to engage with them about what's good in your life, what's good in this world, right? And then number 3, forgive. Either receive forgiveness for yourself and give those burdens away and receive the cleansing forgiveness of Jesus, or forgive someone else, right? Open the door of your heart. You can release rivers of living water, of rivers of love, rivers of hope, rivers of whatever. You use your imagination. There's no limit. You limit yourself. I limit myself. Just work together with God, acknowledge your feelings, talk them out, and then release Jesus, who is the power to forgive in you, because the world needs forgiveness. Jesus has made peace on earth by the blood of his cross, but it's up to us to establish that peace. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to tell you before I say goodbye is when you are at peace, when I'm at peace, when we do these things or something that brings us to this place of peace with God, and we know it, you and I are led by the Spirit of God. And I want you to catch this because this is super special. When you are led by the Spirit of God, how can you fail in anything? The peace of God goes before you, protects you. The peace of God surrounds you. The peace of God delivers you. The peace of God crushes Satan under your feet. The peace of God is so militant, so powerful, so wonderful. It's incredible. And when you're led by the Spirit, you are so blessed. I'm so blessed. So let that be motivation. Just get yourself back to peace every day. Practice this and attain the very attainable, because of Jesus, lifestyle of peace. And then you will always be walking by the Spirit. This is Colossians. The peace of God will umpire your heart. The peace of God will guide and guard your heart. The peace of God is so powerful, guys. This is amazing. So keep that Wi-Fi on in your heart. Actually, it's not your mind, it's your heart. You talk to God with your heart. Don't turn it off. Don't go on airplane mode. Stay connected, right? Because God's Wi-Fi is always on. It's always perfectly flowing, and God will communicate with you anytime, and he wants to talk to you all the time. All right, I bless you to go into the peace of God and to become established there, so that you could be led by the Spirit of God, so that we could be led by the Spirit of God, and the world needs that. So let's do this. All right, I'll see you next time.